This is CyberSam, and let's teach tech. I want to discuss a few more things I do to start the year out in the best way I can. I've got a form online that I have students fill out that's kind of like the first day's introduction welcome kind of sheet that they did on paper. But this one is online, and I'm asking basic things like shirt size if we go to a competition, or do they have a job? What activities are they involved in? Do they have technology at home, depending on the school and so on? I can ask things about, are they driving? Do they have transportation? Things like that. That can give me a better idea of if there are going to be any barriers for students to participate in activities or do homework or do a variety of things that we have going on in the year. And that can be very helpful. Highly recommend you collect those questions from students. Another thing we do is create a compact for excellence. So I have students sit in pairs, and then I have them work with their partner, give your partner a high five, introduce yourself, and then the question at the top of the page basically says, in order for us to do our best in class and to respect each other and be kind and blah, 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 we agree to do this or not to do this. And I just set up the class saying, I'm not going to tell you how things are going to be. I want you to give me your feedback. I want you to tell me how you want things to be around here. How are we going to use technology around here? How are we going to interact with each other and work in groups? What do you need from me as an instructor? So I prep them with that. I give them maybe 5 minutes or so, and I do the fist to 5 stuff. So fist to 5 means, how many minutes do I? 0 means I'm done with this, and I need 2 more minutes to finish this activity. They throw their hands up, fist to 5, and I can gauge how much more time they might need or less time. And then I tell them I'm going to collect all these, and next class I'm going to try to consolidate their ideas and give them something for them to look at. And so I'll throw that on the board, maybe projector or whatever, and I'll say, okay, does this cover the things that you wrote down? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. Do we want to discuss things, items on this list? Do you want to take away or add something? And then once we kind of have, let's say, 5, 7 rough amount of things, I can say, okay, do you all agree to this? Give me a thumbs up if you agree to this. And generally everyone goes, yeah, that's about right. And then we can say, okay, well, we agree that this is the expectation around here. So let's keep each other accountable to this. And it's just a nice way for getting student input, and instead of me dictating how things are going to be. It helps create that safe environment for students because they've decided how things are going to go, and they've agreed to it, and they've shared what it means to be safe and feel comfortable and have a good experience in your classroom. Another thing I add is a form where I ask them about how we're going to handle discussions. So our district is really into pushing anti-racism, being culturally inclusive, equitable, things of that nature. And I tell students that, tell them that and say, I'm all for this. I get uncomfortable. I'm not sure exactly how to handle things, and I'm not perfect at all. So tell me what this looks like. If we end up having an uncomfortable or controversial topic come up in class, what do you want this to look like? What do you agree to how the behaviors and norms are going to be in our classroom? So I have them fill out some questions of what does a good discussion look like and sound like, and so on. And then that helps set up the environment that we might get uncomfortable. I started my last class with my question as an icebreaker of, tell me a time that you've stepped out of your comfort zone and what happened. This is something I got from an SEL sheet, and I will have a separate video on SEL, as this is one of my major goals for the year. I'll give them a few minutes on that, write it down, think about it, type it somewhere. Then I have students share, and I've had students yesterday say, I jumped out of an airplane and I'm scared of heights. I had students share, I love my hair, but I shaved my head because my friend has cancer and I wanted to support them. So I got some really interesting and powerful statements and stories from students that I was not expecting. And then I go back to the questions I've had before from our previous lesson about find someone who, and I say, okay, how many of you again have built a computer before? They raise their hand. And I explain to them that my job as your teacher is to find a sweet spot when it comes to your comfort. So I say one of the first things we do in our class is learn about the components of a computer and build a computer. And I say, students with your hands raised, if we do that activity, you're going to stay in your comfort bubble, if you will. And what that means is you're going to do this activity, but you're not necessarily going to learn a whole lot. It's pretty comfortable for you because you've done it before. The rest of us who have not done this before, we're going to be stepping out a little bit out of our comfort zone. And therefore, we're going to learn a little bit. And if I'm supporting you as a teacher and giving you the scaffolding and not giving you too much, that's going to be an experience that lets you learn and grow. And then I say, but if I give you an activity of next week, I say, I need you to spin up a Windows server, set it up with a domain, and create some group policies and that have security policies with the X, Y, and Z. Most of those terms are probably going over the student's head. That's going to make them way uncomfortable to the point where it's way out of their comfort zone. They're going to want to quit the class. My job as their teacher is to not throw things at them that are way out of their comfort zone and they're overwhelmed, but also not keep them in their security bubble and to just push them just a bit out of their comfort zone and support them through that. And so it's a activity or a good discussion to remind students that we are going to get uncomfortable in the class. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get uncomfortable. We're supposed to step out of our comfort zone because that's where the learning happens. So now that we've had these discussions with students and have set them up with how the classroom is going to run and what the expectations are and the norms and gotten their feedback, the next thing I'm going to do is be really explicit on what makes me feel good as an instructor. So we make assumptions about what kindness looks like, what respect looks like, how students should behave in class. But if you really told students exactly what that means, those assumptions end up making us feel disrespected. Instead of making assumptions, tell your students exactly what you want from them. So I say things like this to students. Now that we've created this compact for excellence, now that we've agreed to what the norms are, now that we've gotten feedback on what uncomfortable discussions look like, I want you to know that it makes me feel really good when I'm talking that you look at me. We've got a very diverse population in my school and in my classrooms, and we got to respect that different cultures see eye contact as disrespectful. So you need to say clearly, hey y'all, I really want you to look at me. That makes me feel good because that shows me, your eyes show me you're listening. That's what I like to say. Ironically, your eyes show me you're listening. And hopefully in their compact for excellence, they talk about technology use. And you can say, you know, when you're looking at your phone or your phone is out, that makes me not feel listened to and respected. So I would really appreciate it if you kept your phones away or your earbuds. When your earbud is in, that makes me think that you're listening to something else and not paying attention to me. I'd really appreciate if you put that away when we're having when in class and especially when I'm talking. And you can say explicitly, you know what? When I'm talking, I sure like it when you smile at me. I sure would feel good if you nodded and said, yeah, okay. Oh, interesting. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel like you're really paying attention and that you're engaged. And when I'm presenting, it gives me encouragement. Some of you might say, I like finger snaps. When you snap your fingers while I'm talking, that's a way for you to show that you agree with what I have to say or think what I had to say was interesting. You can say, if I say something amazing, feel free to give me a standing ovation. Whatever you want to let students know explicitly what you're looking for and what your needs are as a teacher. Have you said to students, hey, I just want you to know when I'm talking, I'd really like you to listen and not talk while I'm talking. If students raise their hand, you can say, I see you there. I'm going to let you have a time for questions as soon as I'm done talking. Or do you want students to interrupt you? Raise their hand and then you stop what you say and answer their question. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. When we don't do this, we're disrespecting ourselves and our students because we're assuming they know all these things that you are looking for. I'm not saying you have to use the ones I just said, but be real clear with them. Because if you're not doing it, trust me, you're not being clear. They don't know this stuff. They don't know what you want. Tell them what you want. We might end up getting mad at students for doing things that make us feel disrespected, but that's not fair. You've never told them what you want. You've got to tell them what you want. Don't assume that students are trying to be disrespectful to you. Don't assume because a student is late to class that they're being disrespectful. You probably don't know the full story. There's probably a reason. A busing issue, stuff going on at home. You have no idea until you ask. A couple other things I'm doing from day one is I have my class roster and I stand at the front door and I ask their first and last name as they enter the room. I've got 90 students roughly and 90 names to learn. And I tell them to give me some grace because it takes me a while to learn all of their names. I tell them I have 90 students. And that if I don't remember your name, please don't take it personally. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I make sure my students see me when they're entering the room. And as they're doing this, I'm learning how to pronounce their name. I'm marking my sheet so I know how to pronounce their name correctly. And I'm making sure they know they're welcome and that I'm happy to see them. And there's a line of students, but that's okay. And I'll often get people saying nice things back to me as well. But it lets them know from day one that I care who they are, that I care how they say their name, I care that they made the trip to our class. I make sure that I, first day, say my name. I pronounce my name. And then I have students repeat it. Can you say this? And they repeat it. And I say, that's right. And I say, if you say my name wrong, I'm going to correct you. I would appreciate if I say your name wrong, if you would correct me, because I want to respect the way your name is pronounced. And that helps establish that I care about them, that I care how their name's pronounced, that I respect them. At the end of class, I usually tell them that I like to fist bump my students. Before they walk out the door, I stand at the door and I say, have a wonderful day, and I give each student a fist bump. And most students are comfortable with that. It's enough of a physical contact that lets them know, like, hey, I'm like their coach, I'm rooting for them, and most students are fine with a fist bump, and I enjoy doing that because it's just another way to show that I care for them. Some of you might choose a handshake. In US culture and business, often we're greeted with a eye contact, smile, and a handshake. You can practice that from day one and teach them how firm of a handshake and what's appropriate and what is kind of a norm in greeting people in a professional way. You might choose to do that. It's a great opportunity to engage your students in some of those life and social skills. So what are some of the routines you do at the beginning of the year? How do you establish the environment and culture and secure environment for students at the beginning of the year? Love to know what you do in the comments. I'm Cyber Sam for Let's Teach Tech. We'll see you next time.